So today I'd like to talk to you about proprietaryism. Proprietary means that you have a master over you. This is true. If you look this up in the dictionary, proprietary is exclusive rights. So if you don't have a system that has exclusive rights, you don't really have a master over you. Whereas if you have a proprietary system, you have a master over you. When you have exclusive rights, you can set prices, you can set product, you can make things that don't work without use of your product or that don't work on your product. So people are forced into this corner and you don't have a choice over this because it is exclusive to them. That is how some computer companies work. Not only Mac. Mac is a good example of proprietaryism that has been around for years. But I have also seen plenty of PC computers that are off the shelf that have been proprietary machines. One of the way they make proprietary machines is they make it so you cannot do upgrades. So you can't do anything to get into this machine and make it a better machine. As a computer scientist and a builder of computers, I know how to get into these machines, but I'm not capable of because they put glue and things like that on it so that you can't get into it or break the machine doing it. Whereas a non-proprietary machine, or this case, a machine designed and built custom for me, was a choice that I chose so that I didn't have anybody holding exclusive rights over me. With this, I have to use Mac software, Mac connections, Mac everything. And if Mac decides to change these connections, I can't go with anything in the new, because any product that go new will have different connections or different software, and guess what? They're going to force me to buy a new computer. A computer is an expensive thing. I spent a lot of money on this laptop. I spent a lot of money on this workstation. And when it comes time to upgrade these things, I don't want the company to tell me, no, you can't upgrade. You have to throw it away and buy a new one. That's a lot of money down the drain. I can upgrade this machine and it can get better with time and use new things with upgrades. Whereas this machine is going to be stuck with what it has and not going to be able to upgrade on it. And if anything in the future comes out, it's probably not going to come back down, because the way proprietary companies work is they want more of your money. So they want you to spend more money on their products. This video is going to go in depth about proprietaryism and try to show you some of the equipment that I'm using right now and why I chose the things, where I spent my money at to try to make my system, my home studio, work on a budget that was agreeable to me, but yet have high functionality, do recording at 96K, 16 channel. I'd like to start here by qualifying myself a little bit. I do have a degree in computer science from Long Beach State University. It's a Bachelor's of Science degree. From that degree, I went on and worked as a software engineer on the C-17 project for Boeing, and I also did some other computer science work throughout the years. I started very young in computer science. In my high school, I started off on computers in BASIC, as I did with music. I started off very early in high school with that, and I did actually music in grade school, but I got a degree at Long Beach State as well, Bachelor's of Arts in music, and I studied various things from music technology to performance and musicology, songwriting, things like that. From there, I went on and got another degree from Southern Utah University. This was a master's in music technology, so I put together the science work that I did in computers and the work that I did in audio. And when I was a young boy, I had started off in Pittsburgh in radio when I was in high school. So I've been doing music technology and audio engineering since the early 80s when I was in high school. I also have a retirement from the U.S. Army. While I was in the Army, I was a combat engineer. I did many different types of engineering in the Army, and just carried on what I was doing with music as well. So about, I guess about 2 years ago or so, I bought this MacBook Pro, and I had it completely loaded with everything hardware and everything software available. This is a pretty powerful machine. It's a good computer. I like it. There's some things I don't like about it, but we're not going to discuss everything about that right now. The main issue was that it's a proprietary system. Now, I went to school for music. in music technology, and there were several teachers that worked only in Mac. So I was required to get this book and use Logic. When I went to Cal State Long Beach, they have MacBooks, or they have Mac Pros, and they had Logic on those. So that's why I did a lot of my audio training for that. Pro Tools classes at Long Beach City College. And I've taken a lot of different other DAW classes and worked on a lot of different other DAWs. But I'd like to keep talking about the computers right now. And one reason why, when it was time to upgrade my workstation, I did not go to a Mac, was the fact that I cannot open this machine up. Now, I know that not everybody can do that. But being a computer scientist, I do this all the time. And to have a machine that I can't open up, a proprietary machine, prevents me from doing anything cheaply on it. Basically, now the way Macs work, you have to order everything you want in it. And if you want to make any changes, I have to go buy a new computer. I can't just upgrade this computer. You can't put more memory in it. I can't put a bigger hard drive in it. I can't put more card in it or anything like that. With my workstation computer, this is my workstation computer from ADK. Tell you a little bit more about my computer. I just had this computer finished this summer, so I received it, I think, July. But I designed this myself. I asked ADK to build it, so I got the warranties and such. I did pick out all the components and research them myself. The first thing that was put into this would have been the 3990 64-core processor. It's 2.90 gigahertz. And then I installed 64 gigahertz of high-speed 4000 megahertz RAM. In addition, this has a card for Thunderbolt 3. I can connect up to your Mac with my Thunderbolt 3. But we know Mac, they're a proprietary company, and they will change that connection so that as people use more USB-C or Thunderbolt 3, and as it is available on PCs, they want to be a private company that doesn't do anything that anybody else does and make you buy those products. So they will take that Thunderbolt 3 and change it into something new for just Macs. But Thunderbolt 3 is as fast as necessary. It's working at speeds that the ADAT would work at, speeds that the motherboard is working at. On this computer, for storage, I'm working with NVMe cards, which are basically essentially large memory sticks with SSD drives on them. I have 2 of them installed, and I have space for more. So right now I have 8 terabytes with the 2 cards being 4 terabytes each. And then I have a 13 terabyte storage regular hard drive, which is probably what you're hearing spinning right now on the computer, besides the fans. There's some intense fans to keep this whole system cool. And I have a cooling system. It's actually liquid cooled, this computer, to keep it running at low temperatures. We're doing a lot here that you won't find on a standard computer off the shelf. That was the whole point. This is not a computer off the shelf. This is a big workstation computer. It's a heavy machine. It's got a very large CPU in it. I mean, size-wise, I'm talking size. The physical presence of the machine is heavy. You're not going to fit everything that's in this machine in a laptop. That's why there's a big difference between a workstation or a laptop. A workstation is basically a server computer because it has to handle a lot of power and a lot of functioning. It has to be a strong computer. So the last one I had before this one had a dual CPUs, which you see a lot of times on servers. This CPU is running so many cores that it doesn't need dual CPUs. And we can see here my audio units in my rack. You can also see my Motu unit. Now basically the way this is functioning now that I have the RME card in, and I will do a video on the RME card installation. I actually filmed some of that footage of me taking the computer open, so you can see inside my computer when I post that video. For this video, I wanted to just discuss the outside stuff that you can see without me tearing it down. So you can see my preamps right here, and these are working at 96K, and they have very good digital converters by Burl, and these are Class A preamps. So these are very good preamps. What I'm doing is basically this is basically acting as my summing. You're doing summing digitally, but this is the hardware side of summing. I have a 16-channel snake running into the back of this. And then that takes all those channels and puts them into my ADAT. So it's got 4 ADAT cables coming off of it and running into the RADAT. So with the 16 channels of RADAT, these are able to, that's how I'm getting my 96K in. Now to listen back, I have to have something else. So You can't simply buy the RADAT card and have preamps. There's no way to listen back because the RADAT card itself does not do any conversion. It just transfers stuff straight into the computer that's already been converted. So these convert it into ones and zeros, digital information, and then I take another ADAT cable and I take that out. So I'm coming into this one with an ADAT. This is the Mo2 828ES unit. And I did a video on this unit before when I was using that as my sole input at 44K. That was doing all the input and I was coming out of this using Thunderbolt. This is Thunderbolt equipped and I'm coming out of this with Thunderbolt 2, but then I have a Thunderbolt converter cable that converts it into Thunderbolt 3, and then that is plugged into my computer. And the converter cable, you have to buy a Mac cable. I had real trouble getting Thunderbolt to work properly with just standard Thunderbolt cables that I was buying on Amazon. None of them seemed to work. So they were just doing USB-C. And when I looked up more information, I found out I needed an actual Thunderbolt converter. So I got a cable with a little, it has a little box on the cable actually that converts it from Thunderbolt 2 to Thunderbolt 3. So it's not USB-C information. It's Thunderbolt 3 information coming into my Thunderbolt card, which I have installed on this workstation. The other way I can do this, back to the Mac, is I can take Thunderbolt 3 out of the side of the Mac and take that directly into the Mo2 unit. So if I wanted to go mobile and maybe do a live concert or something, a good way to do this would be to probably take that Mo2 unit here and put it in some kind of mobile rack and take my laptop, and I could do that with USB-C or Thunderbolt 3. But that's another option of way of recording with this equipment that I have here. But this is where I record, and I do a lot of work, even with drums and other instruments, live instruments in this room. And this is the equipment I'm using. I don't have a big Pro Tools setup. It didn't cost me a ton of money to do this stuff. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the cost of putting together a small system like this. Now, again, I don't want to endorse one system over another, but this is what I use and this is what I like right now. Possibly I'll move and change in the future. I change my equipment as I find better equipment. I started off using just the Mo2 unit here. And before that, the ES unit, I had the 828 Mark IV unit, and I was using that with a Snake and the two Audient units as my preamps, because this only has 2 preamps coming in, so I need other preamps. The Mo2 will take the 16 ADAT from out of here, so I can run at 44K. But I wanted to go up to 96, so I installed the RME RADAT card in the computer. And now those 2 preamps move into the computer through the RME card and ADAT at 96K. I can also go from this computer, the MacBook Pro, into the Mo2 unit using the Thunderbolt connections, and then using the Thunderbolt connections again, come back into the Workstation computer where I can do transferring files and things like that. Or I can take it straight in and out from the Mo2 unit just using the Mac and not using the Workstation. Another way I could do this is to have options, and that's what I like. I like having options. I don't like being stuck in a corner. With Mac, you're stuck with the proprietary system. It's a good computer. I'm not knocking it right now. I can tell you what's faults with it, but I don't see the cost effectiveness compared to a system I built. This computer will run circles around any Mac on the market. What's in this is better than anything that's on the market. Go look it up. Go look up the stats. And you can't buy a Mac with as much memory, with as much computing power, with as many cores. You can't buy it. It's just not possible. You can't buy a Dell like that. For that matter, you can't buy any production computer for that matter. You have to have a special custom order computer, and thankfully there are several companies that do this if you're not familiar with building computers. When I was first starting off in computer science and audio engineering, I started building on my own computers after I had some bad experiences with some store-bought computers. Compact was one that was proprietary back in the day, and it made it very hard for me to create a system the way I wanted it. So just recently I added a RME RADAT card. I was trying to solve a problem with getting 16 channels at 96K. The problem was I was only able to get 16 channels at 44 or 48 with the using the Mo2 and the current ADAT configuration, and even with using Thunderbolt. I have my sound coming through two preamps built by Audient, the 8080 ASPs, and both of them have 96K capability using the ADAT out. So I needed 4 ports for ADAT in, and that's what the RADAT supplies. And by the way, you can expand on these cards as well, so you can get even more channels. But 96 is the limit in kilohertz. The RADAT card is currently functioning, and you can see some of the levels bouncing on the screen because I have some mics in the room that are on connected to it. But I'm using mainly the mic for the camera right now. But I wanted to show you a little bit of the software that comes with it. You get the Total Mix software, so you can control everything that's coming in. And currently this is set to watch the ADAT. So I'm watching what's coming in from the mics. Using the RADAT card, you can also see I'm at 96K right here. So I have 16 channels here listed. And at the top of the windows, you can see they're listed at 96K. That was the goal, was to achieve 16 channels at 96K. Putting the RADAT card in the computer made that possible. Having a proprietary system, you would not be able to do that. If it was my MacBook Pro, I would not be able to do that. That on this machine, you can't do anything. You buy it from the company. They make it so that you cannot upgrade on this machine. ADK machine, which is my workstation, I can pull that open and upgrade and do anything I want with it anytime I want.